Welcome back to WSAV News 3 today at 11. In 1969, Maxine Patterson School of Dance opened its doors in the city of Savannah. It was a beloved community staple for more than 5 decades, but last June, following her 55th annual recital, Maxine retired and closed her studio for good. A reunion earlier this year brought together many of her former students. She joins us now with more on her incredible career and the impact she's made in our community. Thank you so much for being here today.
You're welcome.
Well, listen, you are truly a living legend. Just coming into the studio, you had so many people stop you to talk about their connection to you. Jerry Perlman, who is one of my colleagues here, you said that he used to shoot photographs for your studio. Let's go all the way back to the beginning, when you were 5 years old.
Oh my goodness.
And that's when you discovered your love for dance.
Yes, it is. I started dancing with a male teacher who was with Marilyn Yeoman's studio, and I danced there 1 year, and then they started having dance classes at the JEA.
Yeah.
And that's where I went.
So this extracurricular activity turned into a decades-long career for you. Let's fast forward to 1969 and you opening your studio here in Savannah.
Yes, and I was helping my teacher on Hunter teach, and African-American children at that time were not welcome to most dance studios in Savannah. So one of the parents on Hunter asked me if I would start a class at the May Street Y.
Yeah.
And that's how I started.
And that's how you started. And it's because of that work that in 2020 you were recognized by the MLK Observance Day Association as one of its grand marshals for the parade.
Yes, I was a grand marshal for the parade, and that was a lot of fun.
Now, when you look back over the years, what comes to mind, especially now that you're retired?
I just loved every minute of teaching, every hour, every day. I never had a bad day. I never had a child I didn't love.
Yeah.
And I still love a lot of them. I still hear from some of them, and I really enjoy that.
As a matter of fact, earlier this year, you had a big reunion because of your retirement. You had a chance to see some of these people again who walked through your doors.
I did. I did see a lot of people that I've known for some, probably as many as 50 years.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
And it's not just the students, it's the students,
a lot of it
the
is
parents, their grandparents
yes,
who have a connection to you as well.
I saw a lot of those people, and that was a lot of fun. My niece and my sister planned that, and they did a fabulous job.
Yeah, and you've had support from your family from the beginning in doing this.
I have. My mom and my dad both sat at my desk in the studio. I bought my studio in 1983, and before that I had moved. When I had outgrown a space, I had found another space and just moved around Savannah. And then I bought the studio on Lincoln and 39th Street and stayed there until this past June.
Yeah, and speaking of family, your niece is actually in the studio right now with you.
My niece is my wonderful, wonderful caregiver.
Yes. So a lot of your students have also gone on to do bigger and better things and also become instructors with you.
Yes, yes. I've had teachers who were my students. That's how it's usually been.
Yeah, yes. So now, we were talking during the break, what is next for you now that you have a chance to take a breath?
I really don't know, but I want to find something to do that I can pick up children.
Yeah.
Little ones.
Yeah, yeah. Normally when people retire, you say, I needed this break. But for you, when you sat down in this chair, you're like, this is not what I want.
No, I don't want to sit home. And that's what I've been doing. And I'm bored and I fall asleep, and that's not good.
Yeah.
So I want to find something to do involving children. I might try to go to a school and read or something like that.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Tell us about your final recital. What was that like?
It was okay. I had not announced my retirement.
Okay.
The teachers did not want me to, so I didn't. But I think I should have.
Yeah.
But it was fine. I sat in the front row and watched 2 recitals, and that was really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you'll keep those memories, and so will people whose lives you've touched here in Savannah.
I hope so.
Oh,
I hope I've touched a lot of lives. I
guarantee-
feel like I have.
I guarantee you have.
And I hope so.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much for being here today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Well, you can see this interview again with Maxine Patterson anytime on our website by visiting wsav.com/Community Corner. What a pleasure. Speaking of pleasure, today's weather is not. Alyssa Carsley, what is going on? Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Kim. Yeah, definitely not looking the greatest outside. We're still tracking that gray sky that we saw all day yesterday, though the best news, at least comparing it, is that it's not nearly as breezy as what we saw yesterday. We're not tracking those strong wind gusts up to 25 to 35 miles per hour, mainly an easterly breeze thanks to that extra bit of cloud cover, as well as that high pressure system still sitting to our northeast. That easterly breeze mainly up to 15 miles per hour sustained. Again, not nearly as breezy, but still staying mainly just as cool, especially since those clouds have been pretty stubborn to back off throughout the morning hours. We'll keep a little bit more of that cloud cover throughout the afternoon, maybe a few more peaks of sunshine out there as we head closer to sunset, with temperatures staying cool, staying below average, mainly in the upper 60s from Savannah to Richmond Hill. Looking at 68 degrees for the high today in Hampton and Beaufort, and 71 degrees for that high in Pembroke. Now, this midweek cool down doesn't last too long, because by tomorrow we will be seeing a little bit more sunshine, a southeasterly wind. That's going to warm our temperatures back up to around above average into the upper 70s to low 80s. Then as we head into our Friday, we're tracking our next cold front. It's a dry cold front, but the warm air ahead of it will actually push our temperatures to nearly 90 degrees throughout our Friday afternoon. And there's a good chance we could at least tie the record high temperature, which is also sitting at 89 degrees. So at least tying the record high on Friday with a high of 89 degrees, possibly breaking it if we even get into the low 90s. Now, we're on a roller coaster ride with our high temperatures and even our low temperatures over the next couple of days. That dry cold front arrives from Friday into Saturday, knocking down our temperatures into the upper 60s to low 70s. It's going to feel very comfortable outside as we head to the weekend. And over the weekend days, we're back to tracking a lovely sunny sky. So really just have to get through the cloud cover today first before we start to warm up with that spring warmth moving in for Thursday and Friday. Then as we head into very early next week, we start to see our morning temperatures back off, only back into the mid to upper 40s by Sunday and Monday. And then we're looking at our high temperatures back into the mid to upper 70s for early next week with that sunshine again. After today, it's going to look a little bit better outside.
Okay.
So by tomorrow at this time when we take that view over the Tybee Lighthouse, I'm hoping there's sunshine.
Yeah, and you won't say ew when you
It
look
took
at
me by surprise, because I was like, oh man, come on, son, where you at?
Where are you? Okay, thank you, Alyssa. Well, the wait is over. An event featuring 51 amazing musical concerts around the Host City officially kicks off today. Yesterday was Media Day for the 37th Annual Savannah Music Festival. 2026 festival poster program book and merchandise collection were all officially revealed. Organizers say they believe this year's event will be one of the best ever, bringing premier talent representing a wide array of musical genres.
First and foremost, the purpose of the festival is to bring the world-class music to the city of Savannah. And I think with our education program and making sure that we are creating new generations of people who appreciate the music and live performances is what the mission of the festival primarily is.
Student performances will be held from noon until 7 at Plant Riverside, with a second line parade starting at 6. You can watch my full interview with Savannah Music Festival Executive Director Sanisha Sirik and a link to purchase tickets on our website. That's wsav.com/Community Corner. WSAV is a proud media partner. Coming up next in our Community Corner, a conversation with Dr. Yolanda Rivera-Caudill and Chelsea Dye on the risks and what you can do to help prevent colorectal cancer. Stay with us. You're watching WSAV News 3 today at 11. We'll be right back. Welcome back to WSAV News 3 today at 11. According to the Colorectal Cancer Alliance, while largely preventable, colorectal cancer is the deadliest cancer in people under 50 and the second deadliest overall. As we begin to close out Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month, we focus on the latest data and small lifestyle shifts to lower your risks of the disease. Our dynamic Purpose and Plants duo, Dr. Yolanda Rivera-Caudill and Chelsea Dye, they are here this morning with some helpful advice so that we can all remain healthy. Thank you so much for being here today.
Yes, you know, so much importance or so much people know about prevention, about screenings.
Yes.
That is like even in the ads. But a lot of people don't know about lifestyle changes that we can do, and it's just so doable. There are things that is in our hands to do to change.
So before we get to this, let me ask you a quick question, because I read this the other day and I was so surprised that people 50 and below
Yes.
are now the
Yes.
people who are
And especially
developing
depending
this
on their
disease.
family history too.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And why is that? Because I knew once upon a time you were requested to get your screening in your late 40s, 50s, and now
Yeah.
that's been moved back.
Seeing more.
Well, you know,
younger.
whether it's being able to pinpoint what the cause of you know, death is, or maybe it's our lifestyle changes, and I tend to think that it has to do with some of the lifestyle changes that we have adopted in this modern era that are not to our benefit. You know, so before we dive into what we can do, let's just talk about some things that you and I and our audience might do on an everyday basis that they don't realize actually enhance their risk.
Oh, okay.
And so the first is irregular and not good enough sleep pattern. And we,
What? You're talking to me? Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Okay.
But you know, we don't necessarily always think that sleep has to do with our cancer risk, but there is a strong correlation between that. Also, exercise, movement, and the
Lack of movement.
yes,
lack of movement.
Yes. So the interesting thing is sitting. Prolonged sitting enhances your risk of cancer in general and CRC specifically. And then there are some food-related things and beverage-related things.
No, and food, for example, it's well known that processed meats like salami and pepperoni and all those hot dogs are a high risk. I mean, there's known a cancer-producing substances.
Yeah.
And so imagine it's not like you don't eat them if you love them, but the poison is in the dose.
Yeah.
Okay. So imagine a kid that is eating hot dogs and pepperoni all their life.
Yeah.
That might go to explain the
Yeah.
higher risks in your 30s.
Yeah.
You know, versus a person that eats them like here and there. You know, so this is one of the things that it can be modified.
And food today is not like food of yesteryear. I mean,
Yes.
because we have a lot of additives and a lot of things that weren't in the foods that I grew up with.
There are more foods. They're more accessible to that kind of foods.
Yeah.
And they're cheaper sometimes.
And in addition, you know, as we kind of bridge the gap between what we're doing, we can talk about how we can change, but fiber, only 5% of the American population gets enough fiber, and lack of fiber, there's a direct correlation between colorectal cancer and a lack of fiber. It slows transit time, it impacts our digestion, and that coupled with the processed food is challenging. So, you know, then looking at those things, while we might do some of those, there are some pretty simple, maybe not easy, simple shifts that we can make on a daily basis in order to lower our risk.
Okay, and what are those?
For example, the deli meat, for example, you can try bean burgers, for example, or you can do hummus and things like that that are really delicious, and it's just being mindful that this is an option, that this is something that give it a try, you know, and you might love it just the same.
And it'll keep me around a lot longer.
Exactly. Yes, the quality of life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
so going back to the fiber, being fiber forward and focused in every meal. And that doesn't mean that you're grabbing a bar that says extra fiber. That means
Lord, yes.
whole plant-based fiber.
So you say no against that because that's processed as well, right?
Yeah, and I think that's the misconception. Oh, I need more fiber. I'm going to take my capsule and my powder. But really, we're reaching for the whole plant-based fiber foods. So more berries, some chia seeds.
Spinach?
Yes,
Yes.
spinach,
Whole grains are
avocado.
wonderful.
A medium avocado has between 9 and 11 grams of fiber.
Yeah.
So think about real whole foods. walking after every meal.
And standing, you know, if you have a standing desk job, I mean, a job that you have to be sitting, standing a little bit all the time, just fine. If you're mindful, if you know that you have to do that, you might think about opportunities to do that. Standing up a little bit, working, you know, typing, standing.
And in the process, it also makes you feel better.
Yes,
for sure.
And you can think better.
Yeah.
You can flow more oxygen to your brain.
So if you can set a timer, and when you're at work, especially if you have a sedentary job, and you set a timer every 60 to 90 minutes as a reminder to have a movement snack, which basically means you have a few minutes of walking around, doing lunges, and so, you know, there's lots of things that are within our control, which is very, which is inspiring.
And empowering.
And
empowering.
empowering.
Exactly.
Yes.
So we want to remind people to get your Healthy Swap guide, because that is available by scanning the QR code right there. And also to listen to your podcast.
Yes.
So we're so excited. We hit episode 10 and episode 11 is coming out. So it's called The Compass Method. And if you go to purposeandplants.com, you'll find a link to the most recent one. And then it's with WSAV
They
Plus.
tape it right here upstairs.
So, you know, let this be a reminder to our audience that one small step can make a huge difference.
It certainly can.
Yeah.
It's doable.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us today. You can find more information to see this interview again on our website at any time by visiting wsav.com/community corner. Stay with us. You're watching News 3 Today at 11. We'll be right back.